A young millionaire believed he was entering into an arranged marriage with an unattractive woman, but his astonishment grew when she lifted her veil, revealing a surprising beauty. The dining room of the expansive estate glowed with a warm golden light emanating from the crystal chandelier suspended above. The table, ample enough to accommodate 20, was adorned with exquisite china and gleaming silverware, yet only 3 chairs were filled. David lounged at one end, his demeanor easygoing, yet his jaw clenched in irritation. Opposite him, his father leisurely enjoyed a glass of wine. He exuded an air of calm, all the while under the watchful gaze of his mother, her hands resting neatly on the table. "This isn't happening," David said, shattering the heavy silence. He slid his plate away. The once warm steak now lay cold and neglected. "Surely you must be joking." "David," his father began, his tone steady, "this isn't a request. The decision has been finalized." David reclined in his chair, his fingers gliding through his dark hair. "A choice taken in my absence." "What a kind gesture." "Cut the sarcasm," his mother said firmly. "This goes beyond your individual experience. It revolves around the family, regarding the safeguarding of our creations." David's gaze sharpened. "And the method to safeguard it is by arranging my marriage as if we were in the 18th century. To a woman I have yet to encounter." "You'll encounter her before long," his father remarked, placing his glass down. "Anna is a commendable young lady hailing from a distinguished family. This setup is advantageous for all parties involved." David let out a derisive laugh, shaking his head in disbelief. "Nice family, isn't it? Is that the reason she conceals herself behind a veil? What secrets is she concealing? A mark left behind? A hidden persona?" "Don't be cruel," his mother snapped, her tone sharp and frigid. "Anna values her privacy, and there are valid reasons behind it. She is not obligated to provide you with an explanation." "No, but it seems I owe her an eternity," David retorted. "What makes me the one? Why not allow her to wed someone else who's ready to join in the fun?" "As the rightful successor to this family, David," his father stated with conviction, "the Whitmans play an essential role in our business. This marriage embodies both a partnership and a union." David emitted a humorless chuckle. "Thus it is an exchange. Excellent. It's evident that affection finds no welcome in this space." "Don't be so over the top," his mother said, her tone easing a bit. "You're not required to have feelings for her. Simply to honor her and carry out your responsibility." David's hands tightened into fists on the table. "What is my responsibility? To wed someone unknown? To relinquish any opportunity to shape my own destiny? Everything you could ever desire will be at your fingertips," his father remarked with a serene demeanor. "And thus she will as well." David rose suddenly, the chair grating against the floor. "I don't need this," he said, his voice low, simmering with anger. "She is not necessary for me." "You'll meet her tomorrow," his mother said, rising to her feet. Her voice resonated with a sense of conclusion. "During the evening meal, I anticipate you will conduct yourself in accordance with the values we instilled in you." David fixed his gaze on her, his jaw clenched, yet he remained silent. Instead, he pivoted and walked out of the dining room, the burden of their expectations weighing on him like a heavy shroud. In the solitude of his room, David filled a glass with whiskey and gazed out the window, the distant city lights shimmering like stars. The fury surging within him was intense and unyielding. A marriage by arrangement, to a woman who concealed her visage. It seemed like a cruel punchline, a remnant from an era that had faded away. He tossed back the whiskey in a single motion, the fiery sensation barely easing the sharpness of his irritation. Tomorrow, he mused with a sense of bitterness. Tomorrow, he would encounter Anna and uncover the nature of the game his parents were orchestrating. It was clear that he intended to complicate matters for everyone involved. The following evening, the Whitman estate hummed with subdued energy as the staff busily readied themselves for the dinner. David stepped into his parents' formal sitting room, his face a mask of neutrality, yet his frustration bubbled just beneath the surface. His father acknowledged him with a slight nod, while his mother presented a smile that was more restrained than warm. She mentioned she would arrive soon, adjusting her dress with a delicate touch. Marvelous, David whispered softly to himself, fiddling with the cuffs of his shirt. Shortly after, the sharp sound of heels striking the gleaming floor captured their focus. David glanced up when a woman walked in, accompanied by an older man he identified as one of the Whitman patriarchs. She glided effortlessly, her stance poised and dignified. A delicate veil shrouded her face, cascading down to her shoulders, revealing only her piercingly sharp eyes. They possessed a striking hue of gray, vivid and penetrating, as if they held the power to look right into his soul. "David," his mother said, stepping forward with an inviting smile. "My name is Anna." Anna tilted her head just a bit, her tone steady and composed. "It's a delight to make your acquaintance, David." David paused, his eyes locked onto her veil. He reached out instinctively, yet his thoughts were in a whirlwind. Similarly, he remarked, yet his tone was devoid of certainty. They gathered around the dining table, the ambience tense and rigid. David struggled to concentrate on the casual conversation happening between their parents. His focus continually returned to Anna, to her quiet demeanor, her thoughtful replies, and above all, to the shroud that concealed her features. Midway through the meal, David found it increasingly difficult to suppress his annoyance. He placed his fork on the table and faced Anna, his voice soft yet deliberate. "You really don't need to hold on to that, you know. There's no reason for concern. You won't face any judgment here." His mother cast a cautionary look in his direction, yet Anna stayed unfazed. Her gaze shifted to him, composed and unwavering. "I appreciate your concern," she said gently, "but I would rather keep it on." David arched an eyebrow. "What is the reason? Is there something you're not sharing?" "David," his mother whispered, her voice laced with sharp disapproval. "It's fine," Anna stated, her tone steady and unwavering. She faced David, her eyes steady and resolute. "I have nothing of significance to conceal. What lies beneath the surface holds no significance for our agreement." David reclined in his chair, his arms folded across his chest. Arrangement, what a fascinating term to describe the union of marriage. Anna tilted her head slightly, her voice steady and unwavering. "Isn't that precisely what this is? A composition? Your family seeks a partnership, and mine is in need of one as well. It's best to keep things straightforward, avoiding any added emotions or expectations." Her words struck him with the force of a blow, leaving David momentarily dazed. "So that's your perspective," he remarked, his tone laced with irony. "Without affection or empathy, merely a transaction." Anna's eyes remained steady. "Do you hold a different opinion?" David parted his lips to reply, yet silence enveloped him. Instead, he was engulfed by a tide of frustration and bewilderment. She exuded a serene composure, as though the entire situation held no sway over her emotions. "I want to understand the person I'm committing to," he stated at last, his tone softer yet still resolute. "It goes beyond merely your name or your lineage. I wish to understand you better." Anna studied him intently for a moment before she began to speak. "In due course you will. For the time being, it's important to recognize that I am fully aware of my position in this partnership. I trust that you will comprehend yours." Her words resonated deeply. David's cheeks burned with indignation, yet before he could utter a word, Anna's father cleared his throat, shattering the charged atmosphere. "Maybe it's time to transition to dessert," he proposed, his voice carrying a playful yet resolute quality. The remainder of the evening unfolded with an air of strained politeness, as David's parents endeavored to ease the palpable tension, while Anna maintained her enigmatic and graceful demeanor throughout. As the night drew to a close, David escorted Anna and her father to the entrance. As Anna prepared to walk away, David felt an irresistible urge surge within him. "Why do you behave as if this is insignificant?" he inquired, his voice barely above a whisper. Anna lingered her hand on the doorframe. She tilted her head just enough for their gazes to connect. "It holds significance. However, it's not as you might imagine." With that, she ventured into the night, leaving David behind, his irritation intertwined with an undeniable spark of curiosity that lingered in his mind. The day of the wedding dawned, radiating the splendor and magnificence one anticipates from a union of two affluent families. The location was an expansive estate embellished with vibrant blooms and glimmering chandeliers. Attendees in elegant attire mingled, sharing courteous greetings and engaging in lively discussions. David lingered at the end of the aisle, his stance tense, his face revealing a hint of exasperation. The ceremony, while lavish, struck him as empty, a backdrop for a show he had no desire to participate in. As Anna stepped into the room, enveloped in an elaborate white gown and a veil that concealed her completely, an air of hushed reverence settled over the space. Her movements flowed with elegance, her presence exuded authority, yet the veil stayed resolutely in place, shrouding her features. David's jaw clenched as she drew near. The weight of every gaze in the room pressed upon him, the soft whispers barely concealed by courteous smiles. She still refuses to remove it. A voice murmured from behind him. Perhaps there exists a purpose. Another voice whispered. The ceremony unfolded with an unusual sense of formality. Promises were made, bands were placed upon hands, and the officiant declared them united as husband and wife. "You may kiss the bride," the officiant declared, his voice filled with warmth. David paused, casting a fleeting look at Anna. She tilted her head ever so slightly, yet she did not raise her veil. With a weary breath, David pressed a fleeting kiss against the cloth that veiled her cheek, the action lacking warmth and intimacy. Polite applause erupted, yet David sensed the palpable tension in the air, the silent scrutiny of the guests weighing heavily upon him. The reception unfolded as a splendid event, taking place in an opulent ballroom brimming with champagne, melodies, and joyous laughter. Yet, the air between David and Anna stayed frigid. They occupied the head table, positioned next to each other, yet feeling as if they were galaxies away. David quietly took a sip of his drink, his gaze sweeping over the crowd. He caught fragments of dialogue, the phrases slicing through the festive atmosphere like shards of glass. What could be the reason for her to hide her face? Perhaps there's something she's concealing. Can you envision entering into a union with someone solely for the sake of a business arrangement? David tightened his jaw, a mix of shame and anger simmering just below the surface. He cast a fleeting look at Anna, who held her composure, her stance graceful. She appeared completely unbothered by the murmurs, her veil remaining securely in position. As the evening came to an end, David and Anna were guided to the exclusive suite that had been arranged for their stay. The air crackled with tension as they stepped into the room, the door whispering shut behind them. David casually removed his jacket, flinging it onto a nearby chair with a nonchalant gesture. He faced Anna, his irritation reaching a breaking point. "Will you really hold on to that for good?" he insisted, motioning toward her veil. Anna gracefully took off her gloves, setting them down with care on the dresser. "Until I'm ready," she replied, her voice steady. David's laugh cut through the air, tinged with a harshness that left a lingering aftertaste. "Are you prepared? For what purpose? To uncover whatever it is you're concealing? Or are you simply relishing the game you're engaged in?" Anna pivoted to confront him, her gaze locking onto his despite the delicate barrier of her veil. "This is serious, David, and I assure you, there's nothing of significance that I'm concealing." "Perhaps not to you," he retorted. "Yet here I am, positioned in the midst of it all, as others murmur about my wife as if she were an enigma. Can you even begin to imagine what that experience entails?" Anna's eyes remained steadfast. "If their views hold more weight for you than I do, maybe it's time to reflect on the true essence of this marriage." David's fury wavered, her words hitting a sensitive spot he hadn't anticipated. He swept his fingers through his hair, letting out a sharp breath. "I simply seek the truth, Anna. Why do you keep yourself hidden from me? When the moment arrives," she stated plainly. "And who makes that determination?" "I do," she replied, her tone steady and resolute. David gazed at her, his irritation and bewilderment intertwining into a complex knot he found impossible to unravel. At last, he averted his gaze, filling a glass with whiskey from the candy counter. "Very well," he replied, his tone sharp. "Hold on to your secrets, but don't think I'll be here indefinitely." Anna remained silent. Instead, she settled at the vanity, taking off her earrings with meticulous attention. Her silence enveloped the room, dense and resolute. David gulped his drink, the fiery sensation offering little relief to the heaviness in his heart. This existence was far from what he had envisioned, yet he couldn't dismiss the sense that Anna held deeper secrets within her than she revealed. As the night deepened, they withdrew to opposite corners of the suite, the space between them feeling more expansive than ever. In the stillness that enveloped him just before slumber, David pondered, as he often did, the mysteries hidden beneath the surface. The days after their uncomfortable wedding drifted by in a haze of tense quiet and courteous separation. David steered clear of Anna whenever he could, seeking refuge in his office or embarking on lengthy drives to break free from the mansion's confines. Even in his frustration, he found himself captivated by the little details of her presence. The fluidity with which she navigated the home, exuding grace and poise, and the subtle yet undeniable aura of quiet command that surrounded her. In one of those moments of keen observation, David encountered an unforeseen scene. Late one morning, David found himself in the sunlit study, meticulously sifting through documents for a merger proposal that had encountered a roadblock. His frustration grew as he scrutinized the numbers again and again, the deal hanging by a thread. Looking for assistance? David glanced up, surprised to find Anna framed in the doorway. She donned a modest dress that cascaded elegantly over her silhouette, and as was her custom, her veil shrouded her features. "I didn't realize you were there," he said, his tone sharp and precise. "This may not be your strongest suit." Anna inclined her head gently, her voice steady and composed. "One might find it unexpected." Before David could voice his objections, she moved nearer, her aura subtle yet authoritative. She lifted one of the documents, her gloved fingers gliding over the words. "It's not about the figures," she remarked after a pause. "The wording in this section is what stands out. It creates excessive uncertainty, leading to hesitation from the other party." David furrowed his brow, bending slightly to catch a glimpse of the direction she indicated. "Do you believe that's the reason for their hesitation?" She stated plainly, "I don't think. I understand. Refine the wording, clarify the conditions, and they will agree." David gazed at her, taken aback. "What makes you so certain about that?" Anna placed the paper aside, her demeanor at ease. "Though I might not belong to your realm, it doesn't imply that I'm unaware of its intricacies." With that, she pivoted and exited the room, leaving David to gaze after her, the gravity of her words settling in. Several days later, David came across Anna once more in a surprising environment. As he strolled through the garden en route to the garage, the sound of laughter wafted from the kitchen, catching his attention. Intrigued, he halted at the ajar entrance and glanced within. Anna stood by the counter, her veil still draped elegantly, engaging in conversation with the kitchen staff. Her voice radiated warmth and charm, captivating the employees who appeared truly pleased by her company. "Mrs. Hale, you've truly surpassed yourself with the pastries today," Anna remarked, her tone genuine. "They appear nearly too exquisite to consume." Mrs. Hale, the head cook, radiated warmth. "Oh, you do me too much honor, Mrs. Whitman. But it is indeed the case, isn't it? I have been honing that recipe for weeks." Anna chuckled gently, her hands folded neatly before her. "Should you ever require someone to sample your creations, just know I'm here and ready." David observed the staff interacting with Anna, their warmth and respect evident in their relaxed and open demeanor. Even with the veil, she possessed an uncanny ability to make others feel acknowledged and appreciated, a quality that took David by surprise. As he prepared to depart, the vision of Anna lingered in his mind, her warmth and grace starkly contrasting with the aloof, mysterious persona he had conjured in his thoughts. In the weeks that followed, David found himself increasingly focused on Anna, though he would never voice this realization. He observed the manner in which she held herself with a serene grace, the understated yet meaningful ways she added to the home, and the keen intellect that emerged in their infrequent discussions. One evening, at the dinner table, she inquired about his profession, her questions unexpectedly perceptive. "How is the merger progressing?" she inquired, her tone calm yet inquisitive. David paused, caught in a moment of indecision about whether to dismiss her or to delve deeper into conversation. At last, he placed his fork on the table and let out a deep sigh. "It's intricate. The other party remains uncertain, even after the adjustments we've implemented." Anna considered the matter with a thoughtful nod. "Maybe they require additional comfort. Have you thought about holding a meeting here? At times, recognizing the individuals who drive the business can truly transform the experience." David blinked, taken aback by the proposal. "Do you believe that could be effective?" "It's worth a shot," Anna remarked plainly. To his astonishment, David took her counsel to heart, and the meeting turned out to be a triumph. The agreement was finalized soon after, leaving David feeling both a sense of relief and confusion. As the days stretched into weeks, David began to reconsider his original thoughts about Anna. She was far from the distant, detached persona he had envisioned. Behind the veil stood a woman of remarkable intellect, compassion, and profound insight, a figure who appeared to traverse the world with an unexpected, serene resilience. Still, in spite of all he had witnessed, the veil lingered as a constant reminder of the chasm that separated them. One evening, as he lingered in solitude within his study, David gazed out the window, his mind entirely occupied by thoughts of Anna. She defied all his expectations, leaving him with an undeniable sense that countless mysteries remained to be uncovered. For the first time, he pondered whether the issue lay not in her hesitance to unveil her true self, but rather in his own inability to genuinely perceive. The strain between David and Anna had been escalating for weeks, an unvoiced burden that lingered in the atmosphere surrounding them. Even with instances of shared respect and unexpected understanding, the veil served as a persistent reminder of the gap that continued to linger. As twilight descended and the sun sank beneath the horizon, stretching shadows across the grand mansion, David felt an overwhelming urge he could no longer suppress. He searched for Anna in the library, a place she frequently escaped to, always with a book clutched in her hands. She sat in her familiar chair by the window, the gentle light of a nearby lamp casting a warm glow over the veil that still shrouded her face. "Anna," David started, his voice more cutting than he meant it to be. She raised her gaze, her gray eyes steady yet observant. "Indeed, a conversation is necessary," he remarked, moving in closer. Anna gently closed her book, placing it aside with a sense of finality. "What is it regarding?" David paused, his irritation rising just beneath the surface. "What compels you to remain concealed behind that curtain? Do you believe I can't manage the sight of you? Am I really too superficial to embrace whatever it is that frightens you to reveal?" Anna's gaze remained steady, yet David caught a subtle glimmer of feeling in her eyes. "This isn't about you, David," she said softly. "Then what is it about?" he demanded, his voice escalating. "From my perspective, it seems like a challenge, as if you're gauging how long I can endure being wed to an enigma." Anna stood, her movements poised yet intentional. She averted her gaze, her hands gripping each other firmly in front of her. "It's not a test," she murmured gently. "So what's the reason?" David advanced, moving in closer. "Why do you keep yourself hidden from me? Do you believe I lack the maturity to face the truth? Or is it a matter of your trust in me?" Anna's shoulders tightened, and for a fleeting moment, David feared she might exit the room without uttering a word. Yet, as she finally turned to confront him, her gaze held a subtle fervor that caused him to hesitate. "Are you truly interested in understanding the reason, David?" she inquired, her tone unwavering yet tinged with a sharpness he had not encountered previously. "Indeed," he stated with conviction. "Because I wanted you to see me for who I am," she stated, her voice steady and resolute. "Not for my appearance, nor for the opinions of others, but for the individual I truly am beneath it all. I had the thought, the hope, that you would be open to seeing what lies beneath the surface. Her words hit him hard, their heaviness pressing down on his heart. Anna pressed on, her voice softening. However, it appears I was mistaken. You've spent all this time focused on the unseen, neglecting the reality that lies before you. David parted his lips to speak, yet silence enveloped him. For the first time, he became aware of the superficiality and harshness of his previous judgments. He had expended so much energy harboring resentment towards the veil, persuading himself that it stood as a barrier between them, that he overlooked the profound essence of the individual beneath it. Apologies escaped his lips at last, his tone scarcely rising above a murmur. Anna's expression became gentler, yet a hint of sorrow lingered in her eyes. I'm not seeking an apology, David. I kindly request your patience and understanding. David nodded, feeling a constriction in his throat. He confessed, I've been a fool. I hold you accountable for something beyond my comprehension. I turned this into a personal narrative when it was never intended to be one in the first place. Anna's lips formed the subtlest trace of a smile. We all have our areas of oversight, she remarked. The inquiry lies in our readiness to look beyond them. For the first time, David sensed a flicker of optimism, an inkling that maybe they could progress together. I want to make an effort, he said with sincerity, to truly understand you. Beyond merely what lies beneath the surface, it encompasses the entirety of your being. Anna studied him intently, her gaze probing into his. She nodded, her voice gentle yet determined. Let's begin at that point. As she returned to her chair and grasped her book, a wave of tranquility washed over David. The path before him remained unclear, yet for the first time he felt prepared to confront it. Not as a man obsessed with superficialities, but as one eager to truly comprehend the woman he had chosen to marry. And even with the veil still in place, David understood that it no longer held the power to define her. It was merely a fragment of a grander narrative, a narrative he was at last prepared to uncover. In the weeks that followed, David dedicated himself to transformation. The dialogues he shared with Anna echoed in his thoughts, and he understood that for their marriage to thrive, he must engage with her through patience and authentic interest. One morning during breakfast, he resolved to take the initial step. Anna, he started, placing his coffee cup on the table. I've been reflecting on your words, about discovering your true self. Anna lifted her gaze from her plate, her gray eyes locking onto his through the veil. So, he expressed a desire for you to take a more active role in the business, his tone sincere. Your insights are invaluable, and I would greatly appreciate your thoughts on a couple of projects. If that piques your interest, of course. Anna observed him in silence, as if probing for any trace of deceit. At last, she gave a nod of agreement. I would be delighted to assist. David experienced a subtle wave of relief, yet he kept it hidden beneath a calm exterior. Excellent. This afternoon, there will be a meeting regarding the Whitman merger. Your insights hold great potential for value. That afternoon, Anna stepped into the conference room to meet David for the very first time. The executives were taken aback by her presence, their intrigue evident, yet none had the courage to speak about her veil. As the conversation progressed, Anna absorbed every word, her hands resting gracefully in her lap. As David sought her perspective, she articulated her thoughts with precision and assurance. The concern extends beyond mere profit margins, she stated, her tone steady yet commanding. The focus is on sustainability. To ensure the longevity of this partnership, it's essential to demonstrate to the Whitmans that your commitment extends beyond your own interests and encompasses their long-term success as well. The atmosphere grew still as all present took in her words. David observed the executives as they nodded in agreement, clearly taken by the presentation. As they strolled back to his office, David glanced at Anna. You were amazing in there, he remarked, a trace of pride lacing his tone. Anna inclined her head ever so slightly. I simply spoke the truth. At times, that's precisely what individuals require, David responded. As time passed, David increasingly turned to Anna for guidance. She possessed an uncanny ability to pierce through the chaos and pinpoint the essence of an issue, be it in a professional negotiation or a personal dilemma. One evening, while they were examining a proposal in the study, David took a moment to observe her. With unwavering concentration, her gloved fingers glided over the pages as she meticulously recorded her thoughts. "You have a real talent for this," he remarked, shattering the stillness. Anna looked up, her gaze becoming gentle. "I have been fortunate to learn from excellent educators." David smiled, recognizing that her humility added yet another dimension to the woman he was starting to comprehend. Their evolving collaboration transcended mere commerce. David began to observe Anna's gentle warmth in her dealings with the household staff and her attentiveness in the small gestures she made for him, such as placing a cup of tea on his desk during late-night work sessions or recommending books she believed he would appreciate. In response, David started to express his gratitude through small yet significant gestures. He took the time to inquire about her day, to involve her in choices, and to demonstrate that her presence was significant. One evening, while they were seated in the garden, David glanced at Anna. "I've been meaning to ask," he said, his voice laced with uncertainty. "What made you decide to say yes to our marriage?" "There was no need for that." Anna paused, her eyes lingering on the flowers dancing gently in the wind. "It was because I recognized the promise within you," she finally admitted. "I encountered an individual with untapped potential, far beyond their own awareness." David sensed a tightness constricting his throat. "Have I truly fulfilled that expectation?" Anna's gaze locked with his, a subtle glow of affection in her demeanor. "You're making progress." Even with their advancements, the veil lingered as a quiet symbol of the gap that continued to separate them. One evening, as they gathered around the warmth of the fireplace, David chose to bring up the topic once more. "Anna," he started with caution, "I don't wish to pressure you, but do you believe there will come a time when you'll remove the veil?" Anna maintained her gaze, her voice unwavering. "When the moment arrives." David nodded, yet a hint of disappointment flickered within him. "I comprehend. I want you to know that I'm here for you whenever you're ready." For the first time, Anna extended her hand and gently rested it on his. "Thank you," she murmured gently. In that moment, David understood that the veil was no longer the obstacle he had previously thought it to be. It was just a chapter in her narrative, a narrative she would unveil when the time felt right. And until that day arrived, he would remain steadfast, believing that the deepening connection they shared justified the weight it demanded. The expansive ballroom of the Whitman estate resonated with the vibrant melodies of music, the joyous echoes of laughter, and the rhythmic clinking of glasses. Softly glowing chandeliers illuminated the gathering of stylishly attired attendees, while the atmosphere thrummed with excitement. David had invested lavishly in orchestrating the gala, a tribute to the triumph of the Whitman merger and the promising horizon of his expanding empire. David lingered by the stage, exchanging courteous words with a cluster of investors, yet his mind wandered to distant thoughts. He cast his gaze toward the magnificent staircase at intervals, pondering when, or if, Anna would finally appear. Her unusual silence regarding the evening's plans was starting to stir whispers among the guests. "Is your wife not coming with us tonight?" one of the investors inquired, his tone inquisitive yet courteous. "She will arrive," David responded, though he himself harbored some uncertainty. In that instant, the gentle murmur of chatter gradually diminished, and every gaze was drawn to the staircase. David turned to see what had captured their attention, his breath hitching as Anna emerged at the top of the steps. She wore a flowing emerald gown that glimmered in the light, exquisitely fitted to her slender figure. Yet, it wasn't the elegance of her gown that elicited a collective gasp from the audience. It was the revelation of her face, unveiled for the very first time. Anna glided down the staircase, exuding an effortless elegance that suggested she had always been the center of attention. Her face, now fully visible, showcased captivating features, high cheekbones, radiant skin, and a pair of gray eyes that appeared to possess the wisdom of someone much older than her years. David remained motionless, his heart racing as she drew near. He hardly took note of the whispers that flowed among the gathering. "She is absolutely breathtaking." What could possibly make her conceal such a striking face? Anna descended the stairs and halted, her gaze sweeping across the room until it landed on David. With a subtle smile, she started to make her way toward him, the crowd shifting aside as if parting for her passage. As she finally approached him, David found his voice, albeit quieter than he had meant it to be. "Anna, what brings this on now?" Anna gazed at him, her demeanor steady yet determined. "It was simply time," she stated. She faced the audience, her voice resonating effortlessly through the quiet atmosphere. "Text, I understand that many of you have been curious about the reasons behind my concealed identity," she started, her voice calm yet imbued with a deep sense of feeling. "Some of you might have imagined the worst, thinking I was concealing a scar, a deformity, or something to be ashamed of, but the reality is much more straightforward." She halted, her eyes scanning the space around her. "I chose to wear the veil to ensure that I am recognized for my true self, my thoughts, values, and actions, rather than my appearance. Frequently, we assess others by their looks, and I was determined that this would not characterize me or my relationship." Her words lingered, captivating the crowd with their raw sincerity. Anna glanced at David again, her tone gentle and warm. "I held on to the veil, yearning to discover if you could perceive what lay beneath it, if you could truly see me." David's chest constricted, her words slicing through the layers of doubt and frustration that had enveloped him. He moved nearer, his voice soft yet brimming with feeling. "I notice you, Anna. I believe I've always had this inclination. It just took me some time to recognize it." The surroundings blurred into insignificance as David's words flowed, his attention fixed solely on her. "I became so absorbed in the unseen that I overlooked the obvious before my eyes. Your compassion, your brilliance, your resilience. These are the qualities that have captured my heart." Anna's eyes glistened with unspoken emotions, yet her smile remained unwavering. "And I found myself captivated by a man who embraces growth, seeks knowledge, and looks beyond his own preconceptions." David extended his hand, gently clasping hers. "Anna, I'm indifferent to the opinions of others. Your presence in my life means the world to me, and I feel thankful each day that you are my partner." The audience burst into applause, with a few cheers cutting through the air as the guest reveled in the moment. Anna and David stood side by side, their bond evident in the way they exchanged a smile that conveyed so much. Throughout the evening, Anna glided through the room with a fresh sense of assurance, captivating guests and enchanting everyone she conversed with. David remained by her side, presenting her to those unfamiliar with her, and observing with a sense of pride as she enchanted everyone around her. As the evening unfolded, it became evident to all present that Anna was more than just the stunning figure who had unveiled herself. She was an undeniable presence, a companion deserving of esteem and reverence. As the final guests made their exit and the ballroom fell into a serene silence, David and Anna stood together on the balcony, gazing out over the estate. The evening breeze was crisp, and the stars twinkled overhead. David faced Anna, his voice imbued with genuine emotion. "I apologize for the delay in my understanding. I owe you more than this." Anna beamed, nestling against him. "Each of us evolves in our unique rhythm, David. What truly counts is our presence in this moment." He encircled her with his arm, drawing her near. "No matter what unfolds from this point forward, my only concern is that we confront it side by side." Anna tilted her head to gaze at him, her gray eyes glimmering with intrigue. In unison, she consented. As they stood there, gazing out at the horizon, David understood that the path they had traveled, marked by misunderstandings, challenges, and revelations, had led them to this very moment. For the first time, he sensed an unwavering certainty that their future shimmered with the same brilliance and limitless potential as the stars overhead. In the weeks after the gala, David and Anna found themselves adapting to a new rhythm, their relationship evolving in unexpected ways. The curtain had lifted, yet its removal was merely a subtle indication of the deep transformation that had unfolded between them. David had moved beyond viewing Anna as an enigma to decode or an obligation to meet. He viewed her as his companion, a person who pushed him, uplifted him, and helped him grow. And Anna, in turn, started to reveal herself completely, offering not only her keen intellect but also her warmth, humor, and the vulnerabilities she had previously concealed. Their mornings frequently unfolded with the aroma of coffee and the warmth of the sunlit breakfast nook, where they engaged in conversations that spanned from daily plans to aspirations for the future. David eagerly anticipated these moments, drawn not only by the valuable insights Anna provided, but also by the subtle closeness they experienced together. At work, Anna's impact grew more and more noticeable. David included her in crucial decisions, and her insightful viewpoint garnered the admiration of his team. She didn't merely observe from the sidelines. She engaged fully, presenting solutions that harmonized creativity with real-world applicability. On a pivotal afternoon, amidst a significant meeting regarding a new project, David brought Anna into the boardroom. Before we dive into the agenda, he began, "I want to take a moment to formally introduce someone who has been an invaluable presence, not only in my life but also for this company. My wife, Anna." The room filled with courteous applause as Anna rose, graceful yet unassuming. She possesses an extraordinary ability to notice details that often escape others, David remarked, his tone brimming with admiration. "Her insights have already created a remarkable influence, and I look forward to seeing all of you collaborate with her." Anna bestowed a warm smile. "Thanks, David. I'm grateful for the opportunity to contribute, and I eagerly anticipate working together with each of you." As the meeting unfolded, it became evident that Anna was not merely a symbolic presence. With poise and precision, she presented her ideas, igniting vibrant conversations and garnering affirmations from even the most doubtful members of the board. Beyond their professional commitments, David and Anna started to delve into their mutual interests. They frequently explored art galleries, participated in charity events, and journeyed to destinations that sparked their creativity. Amidst these encounters, they unearthed a profound connection that transcended their original agreement. One evening, as they strolled hand-in-hand through a lively street market during their travels, David glanced at Anna, a gentle smile gracing his lips. "Have you ever reflected on the journey we've taken?" he inquired. Anna laughed softly. "Each day, particularly when I recall how much you despised me donning the veil." David chuckled, a bashful look crossing his face. "I'm aware of my guilt, yet I find myself thankful for it in this moment. It revealed to me the essence of you, beyond just your appearance, capturing all the elements that define who you are." Anna grasped his hand gently, her voice radiating warmth, "And I appreciate your openness to learning." As time passed, their connection deepened, evolving beautifully with each passing moment. United, they crafted a life that harmonized their strengths and principles, forging not only a thriving collaboration in their endeavors, but also a nurturing, affectionate union. David frequently found himself in awe of the lessons Anna imparted, revealing not only the intricacies of the world but also the depths of his own being. She had revealed to him the value of patience, humility, and looking deeper than mere appearances. Anna, in turn, appreciated David's readiness to evolve and change, his capacity to acknowledge his mistakes, and his steadfast dedication to their common future. The concluding scene took place in the boardroom of Whitman Enterprises, with David and Anna positioned together at the head of the table. The meeting was crucial, destined to shape the direction of the company's forthcoming significant endeavor. As David commenced the meeting, he took a moment to pause, casting a glance at Anna accompanied by a smile. "Before we dive in, I'd like to take a moment to recognize my wife, Anna. Her vision has played a crucial role in shaping this project, and I couldn't ask for a more perfect partner, both in our endeavors and in life." Anna locked eyes with him, her smile gentle yet assured. "Thanks, David. I truly couldn't wish for a more exceptional partner." The atmosphere buzzed softly with nods of agreement as the meeting began. As they strolled out of the building, the city skyline shimmering in the distance, David glanced at Anna. He confessed that he never envisioned this as our destination. Anna tilted her head, her eyes glimmering with wit. "I didn't either. However, I believe we performed quite admirably. Wouldn't you agree?" David chuckled, drawing her nearer, "Surpassing all my expectations." As they stood there, a tapestry of possibilities unfolded before them. David came to understand that the life they had crafted together was not merely a product of chance. It stood as a powerful reminder of the importance of comprehension, admiration, and affection, a bond that blossomed not from initial encounters, but from the revelations they discovered about one another throughout their journey. In that instant, he realized they were precisely where they belonged, united. David and Anna's journey illustrates that love transcends mere appearances. It involves perceiving, comprehending, and appreciating the individual beyond what is visible. What started as a union arranged by others blossomed into a remarkable alliance, founded on trust, respect, and the bravery to evolve side by side. Their narrative serves as a poignant reminder that often the most valuable gems are discovered when we delve deeper than surface appearances. If this tale resonated with you, please consider liking and sharing it with someone who might need a bit of inspiration today. For more captivating narratives of love, resilience, and transformation, be sure to subscribe to Soul-Stirring Stories. We appreciate your presence and look forward to sharing another tale with you next time, one that is bound to touch your heart.